Right, my name is Kevin Tomlin. I'm a music and cultural historian. I've actually been studying music history and culture for over the last 28 years, and right now I'm concentrating on signature sounds. People always ask me the question, what is a signature sound? Well, signature sound actually deal with cultural elements and musical elements that is synonymous to a particular area, urban area or city within the US and the UK and other parts of the world. And signature sound to me is a music that is the DNA of a sound. For instance, let's look at some examples of a signature sound. For instance, the Chicago sound. Some of the key players to do with the Chicago sound is the late Curtis Mayfield. An excellent example of his sound would be the stuff that he did with the impressions, you know. And when we go a little further into the 70s, we look at, say, Superfly, which was an example of the excellence and the quality of the sound that came out of Chicago. And also Natalie Cole, the late Nat King Cole's daughter, was also a person who did very well with the Chicago sound. This would be and what she did with Thankful, all the album, A Sophisticated Lady, all there's a I Found Love, I've Got Love on My Mind, which was also produced in Chicago. Interesting thing, that on that particular album, Michael Jackson's sound engineer was on that album, Bruce Swindon. So Bruce Swindon started his mentorship and development in Chicago, and of course the rest is history. And also, interestingly, with Chicago sound as well. Maurice White and some of the people in Earth, Wind and Fire started to develop their musical skill and craft at Chess, which was based in Chicago. And when you listen to Maurice White, you hear him on Rescue Me, which was a key track which became a hit, which had some of the Motown elements in it, of course. That was another hit that came out of Chicago. Now let us go to Detroit, which is the sound of Young America, which the funk band, those key guys, all played together in the Snake Pit. They created their sound, so there's another signature sound. And of course with the Detroit sound, we talk about Band of Gold by, what's her name again? Band of Gold, which came out during the early 70s, Frida Page, which is also another sort of signature sound, but that was part of Detroit, Holland, Dozer and Holland, Holland, Dozer and Holland, expression, experience. We forward again to look at the Philly sound, which is another example of a signature sound, more lush, with a lot of orchestrations, a lot of trained classical musicians mixed with jazz musicians and blues musicians coming together making a musical fusion and impact. That's another example of signature sound. My site basically looks at all of these behind the scenes, look at all the key power brokers and movers and shakers, the people who actually make up the sound. You know, who are they? Where they're from? What is their experience? Why is their music so transcending and impacting globally, say 20, 30 years on? What is it? What is it that caused a newer generation to actually build upon it, like the hip-hop generation, to build upon those sounds, like the Jay-Z's, the Mary J. Blige, all of them building up on that same musical tradition and actually expressing their own sound. Because you notice they have their own sound as well. Although we talk about sound of a particular city or urban area, we can talk about individuals with their sound as well, like James Brown had his own sound, yes. Michael Jackson had his own sound, the Isley Brothers had their own sound, the Commodores had their own sound, and the list goes on, right? So we're talking about, and also we talk about creative individuals, for instance, who had their own sound. Luther Vandross, who was both a producer, who worked closely with Marcus Miller, created his own sound. So it's its own process, and it's very key for students to understand what makes a sound, okay? And we'll look at that over the time, and as you talk tour my site, you will discover new things, and you will understand what it means by signature sounds when you actually finish.